promoting overconsumption is, I think, the worst you can do, because we all just have to acknowledge and learn how to consume less. But of course, if you work for sustainable fashion or any fashion brand, but also sustainable fashion, if you consume too much, is not good.
Hello. Hello, Tanita. How are you?
Good. And you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Tanita, welcome to Nexus Talks. I have so many questions to ask you, but the best way to start is to ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners, please.
Yes. So my name is Tanita Hecking. I'm a Berlin-based fashion journalist, and I called the Anti-Greenwashing newsletter the Crisps, and also founded the online magazine The Good Norm. But it's undergoing a little rebrush at the moment, so you have to check back in a few weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Why is it going through a rebrand? Are you changing anything or?
Yeah, a little bit the approach, to be honest, because it was really focusing on sustainable fashion, but I wanted to broaden it a little bit
Nice.
so that it's not too nichey. And but you have to stay tuned.
And the industry is always evolving as well. You know, you may be a
Yeah.
specialist in fashion, but it just branches into so many different sectors and industries, right?
Yeah, and I mean also with the EU Green Claims Directive, it's getting a bit more complicated for me, to be honest, to just speak about brands.
Okay.
So I think that that a little rebrush is really needed.
We will get into all of that
Yes.
anyway. I do have to say that I'm very surprised when researching you because most of the time when I speak to awesome creatives and journalists like yourself, they had a switch in their career, but you've always seemed
Mhm.
to really know you want to do fashion. Where did that passion come from?
Yeah. To be honest, for me, that really started when I was like 16 or 17 already. So I was just always kind of into fashion and into like magazines and stuff. And then I lived in the States for a year. And then, I came back and I was like, I really just want to do fashion journalism. Like that's just what I want to do. But it was not so easy to find a university actually to, really study it, because in Germany there was not that many offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then I found a university and studied fashion journalism then eventually. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it was always just what I wanted to do. And then, I mean, I did take a little detour after university and worked in content marketing for a few years. But to be honest, for me, that I think brought me to where I am now. It's really a good combination of like journalism and the corporate side. So that's why I think I have the knowledge now to prepare people to their sustainability communication and like combine the brand image with communication part. Yeah.
Nice. And you specialize in sustainable fashion. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. Yeah.
Has that always been the case, Tanita, or was there a switch?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, actually,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in university, of course, it was fashion journalism, but I started to write about sustainable fashion or cover all of the topics in 2013 already,
Yeah.
when I was working for a blog that my professor started. And that was actually a little bit after the Rana Plaza collapse in 2013. So, the whole industry was faced with like the impact it's having on people as well. And so that's, fashion is not just the pretty picture. And for me, that was always more interesting than just trends and like what's the new color. And I don't care about that. Just I'm like more into all the environmental and impacts fashion is having. Yeah, more the industry side.
I
Mm.
love that. So let's talk about the crisps, which by the way is the best name ever. When I first saw it, I was like, crisps? Because I'm obsessed with actual potato, like
Yeah.
so first of all, how did you come up with the name? And can you tell me what anti-greenwashing is? Because I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I came up with the name because I didn't want to have like, I mean, it's focusing on sustainable fashion, of course, and like anti-greenwashing communication in the fashion industry. But I didn't want to have anything that's like too obvious. So
Yeah.
a little bit more like entertaining and not too annoying.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sustainable fashion, the words, you've heard them over and over again, and they're kind of losing their meaning.
Yeah.
So for me, I really wanted to have a name that's a little bit more entertaining. And of course, because we are doing snackable analysis, yeah, I think that would be a nice name. And actually, we've gotten a lot of compliments for the name, so I'm really happy that people like it. Yeah, yeah. But to your question of anti-greenwashing, maybe we have to start with like greenwashing in a little bit more detail, because I think that's important for everybody listening to also understand what greenwashing is. And essentially, it's when companies are over exaggerating and their environmental efforts. So, or telling people that, they're doing something for the environment or producing more environmentally friendly, but they just can't back it up with action.
Interesting.
So, when we talk about anti-communication, it essentially just means not telling people anything that you don't do. So being really honest with the environmental efforts that you are taking, and yeah, just don't not sell anything, that you're not
Yeah.
doing.
It is really
Yeah,
difficult as a consumer. So I'm not immersed in the fashion world. I love
yeah,
clothes, but I wouldn't know all the impacts other than what is available to us in the mainstream, right?
yeah,
I think it's really easy for brands to make themselves
hmm,
look like they're doing amazing things for the
yeah,
world, for their workers. And we never second guess it unless you're passionate like yourself. We never
mm.
really think about it. So, what's kind of like the worst? Maybe you won't be able to name the actual brand, but like the worst lie or the most outrageous numbers you've seen when it comes to like the greenwashing.
So there has been like this assessment of websites in 2021 where they looked at brands and websites and just analyzed if their claims were actually true or not. And the results are really depressing, because like more than 50% of the claims were just too vague, or like, yeah, just not true. And like there are even more crazy numbers. I don't have them in my mind on
No, no,
right
sorry.
now, but like really depressing if you look at it, because I think for consumers, it's just really hard to know. People spend, like in the industry, professionals spend so much time kind of getting a grip of what's going on, how production works, how all of these things are affecting people and the planet and animals. For consumers, you can't expect that from them. Like
Mm,
it's too much. You will never really understand all of that detail, because you just don't have the time in your day, and you're not supposed to have that time in your day.
yeah.
So, but hopefully it will get better with the EU Green Claims Directive. There was a proposal launched in March this year. So that's also why we started the crisps, to be honest, because a lot of people and businesses were really worrying about how that will affect them and their communication. And under the current proposal, at least brands will have to certify their claims. So they will have a third party certify that the claim is actually true, to kind of bring a little bit more balance into that chaos that's out there at the moment, because everybody can just claim whatever they want. And,
Yeah.
they oftentimes also get away with it. And that's the problem. But yeah, hopefully that will change so that consumers can actually believe the stuff that they're being told, and then also make an informed purchase decision. Yeah.
I love that. And that's basically the motivation behind the crisps. That's why you did
Yeah.
that. I love how your
Yeah.
passion has just always been there. Like, and do you remember the moment that sparked the passion for you that you really cared about? Or just, you just remember
To be
having it?
honest, no, yeah. Yeah, it was just there, but it was not like one moment where, yeah, that like influenced me so much. Yeah.
I love
Mm.
that because we all absorb fashion differently. Like, as I mentioned, like you're very conscious about how it was made, where it's come from, the impact. And even when consumers do try to shop ethically, as you said, we've got the problem of people possibly lying to us or
Mhm. Yeah.
not wording things correctly. So that's really interesting to hear.
Mm.
And As a fashion journalist, Tanita, you've covered so many different aspects. You've mentioned that you went into content creation as a content consultant. Tell me a bit about, how they go hand in hand.
Content creation and journalism,
Yeah.
or what do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that the journalistic background really helps with researching and with like finding facts and stuff that you can actually use, and that's like fact checked, so that you're telling the truth and you're not exaggerating or flat out lying or just making stuff up because it sounds nice. And of course, the corporate side, like the content marketing side, helps with understanding the needs of businesses. So I think that those two really go well hand in hand, because you have the research and the fact-based content creation, and then also the creative part, where you get all of the important aspects that a brand, has in mind when they want to communicate. Because they want to reach their target audience, of course, but they want to inspire. They want to also get people to buy their products. So, all of these things have to be combined, and also they have to stay on brand with their communication. So I think that, because of the background and the training that came afterwards, that it's, a good combination.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
There are so many.
Go through them. You feel free to tell me all of them.
Um, I think what I struggle with a little bit at the moment actually is creating content for businesses to sell products, even though I know that selling products is really not what we need at the moment. So, like promoting overconsumption is, I think, the worst you can do, because we all just have to acknowledge and learn how to consume less. But of course, if you work for sustainable fashion or any fashion brand, but also sustainable fashion, if you consume too much, is not good. So, so that's a part that I'm struggling with a little bit. But that's also why the crisps is really close to my heart at the moment, because it's more like a training platform or like a training device tool in the industry, because I think that that's where the biggest impact lies. It's not but in telling consumers about sustainable fashion, because like I said, it's way too complex and also not your responsibility. But what the responsibility of consumers, of course, is to see if their consumption really is aligned with what we need. And that's, of course, mostly in the global north, that people consume way too much, way too many products, and then also don't use them, like they're just laying there in the closet, not being worn, and that just doesn't help anyone.
It's so
So
true.
that's a part, I'm really struggling with a little bit at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Like,
Yeah. Trying
because
not to stick my head in the sand.
because you're giving yourself an impossible task. You're saying that you're
I
struggling with
know.
that part, but I mean, even me, like, I know I'm so guilty of it. I'm really, really trying so hard. But anytime there's an occasion, I'm like, oh, time for shopping. Same with my friends.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
every now and then we're like, should we swap outfits instead of getting
Mhm.
something new? And it is really difficult to kind of change people's behavior. And that's really tough for somebody to try and influence, really.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's why really the biggest impact lies in the B2B area. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
so interesting, honestly, because as I said, I'm always on the other side of it. I'm always like, I want to buy, I want to buy. And it's so interesting to hear from your perspective, especially because you have such a strong passion for it, Tanita. It's not something that's changed. You've always really been conscious of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But to be honest, also my like consumption for me privately, it changed so much during or in the last years, of course, because I've been confronting myself with all of those facts, and then you really question whether you need the next piece or not. I mean, I still shop, I still buy things, I also buy new stuff, but it's just way less than it was before, like a few years ago. And I mean, if you start studying fashion journalism, I was 20, I think, when I started studying, or 19. Yeah, something around that time. And of course, or at least in my friend like circle, we've been shopping a lot because we've grown up with fast fashion, with
Yeah.
having dates to go shopping. Like let's go buy stuff at H&M that we don't need.
Yeah.
So when you grow up that way, you spend all of your like pocket money on just fast fashion. It really is hard to get out of that circle. And because, you're rewarding and learning how to reward yourself with shopping
Yeah.
and like spending your free time shopping. So yeah, I think it is really hard to get out of that dimension,
Mm.
but it also is really important that we learn how to get out of it. And for me, that was just the confrontation with all of the impacts that also my behavior is having on communities, not just here in my hometown, but also around the world.
Yeah, totally. How important are collaborations then to try and move businesses and creatives and entrepreneurs to be more conscious of sustainability? Do you think that would work better?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I can only speak for the fashion industry, of course, because, the sustainability struggles and like challenges are different in each industry. But
Of
for
course.
the fashion sector, I think collaboration really is important because it's so split up in so many different areas. And usually the problems that the brands, for example, are facing are not individual problems, but more systemic problems. So, um, how to find ways to recycle things, that's things that or challenges that every company and every brand kind of should worry about at least,
Yeah.
but they probably won't find a way on their own. So I think that it's important that they collaborate on challenges, especially, but of course also kind of share knowledge when they find solutions and not keep them for themselves. So
Yeah.
kind of be a little bit more open to collaboration. And also further down the stream, like for farmers, for example, I think that it's also important to collaborate across industries if it's possible. Because if you think of farmers growing cotton, for example, they might face similar challenges than farmers growing food crops. So challenges really, I think, are important. Yeah, to just share because maybe farmers find a way that helps both of them. And yeah.
I think you've given yourself like the hardest job ever. Like I'm listening to everything you're doing, and I'm gonna ask you, of course, about any advice because this isn't a negative podcast. This isn't like, oh my god, this
Yes.
to do. There is so much to do, but I just keep thinking about my friends and how often they shop, and I know people that shop at Shein, and I know
Hmm.
how bad they are in terms of sustainability. So I just keep trying to think if I had to convince my friends to change their habits, I wouldn't know how to do that, let alone marketing content in a way so that you build a relationship with consumers. So, do you have any advice for anyone who's also a content consultant within the fashion industry and passionate about sustainability? Any
Hmm.
tips?
Well, it is a bit hard, I have to say. But just because it's so complex, and like I said, the challenges that each brand is facing are totally different. So some might be about sourcing like the right fabric, for the purposes that they want to achieve or meet. Others might worry more about recycling or like end of life of garments. So I think it always really depends on what the brand is currently going through and also what they want to communicate. But the number one rule also for each brand out there really is, and I know that it sounds really simple and maybe a little bit frustrating as well, but it really is just don't communicate anything that you don't do, just to not step in any pitfalls. And just to be really honest with your end consumer and not focus your entire communication on sustainability because, a driver for consumption is also not just the sustainable aspect. So I think that's a really good point to get across and to tell people about, because it's a value that you as a brand have. Um, but in terms of getting like creative and also inspiring people, it's more about other areas. So I think that it really has to be a mix of all of those things. But it also starts with like your product. If your product is shit, then your communication won't save it. So
I
yeah.
love that. I love that. And in case anyone's listening who is thinking of studying journalism or is a journalist contemplating starting a newsletter,
Mhm.
do you have any things that you wish you knew before you started the crisps, for example? And also any advice on that side of things?
Actually, like for now, it's been really going quite well. So we've grown quite a nice community. I mean, it's not the biggest yet, but of course, it's such a small niche, and we have like an industry focus. So of course, it's a really small niche, but we have over 500 subscribers
Wow.
already, which I think is quite nice. And
Congratulations.
also, thank you. And more than 4,000 views on our content monthly. So I think that's good for the first few months.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, so I think that it's because we really from the start had our concept straight and like knew what we want to do. Like really, we had our goals set, we had our target audience set. So I think that if you have to cover all of those basics first, so that really can convince and yeah, actually have an impact and also a relevance. Because of course, if you just make the next newsletter and just talk about your feelings, this might not be inspiring to everyone. But of course, maybe you have a really nice story to tell, then of course go for it. But I think it's also important just to start out and then just go along the way, have your concept straight, but then just change when you look at your statistics and yeah, kind of get a feeling for the audience, what they want. What we usually also include is a lot of polls. So we ask our community a lot about the length of the articles or the newsletters, what they wish to be there, like what facts they would like to have more of, why they're not a paying subscriber yet,
I love
things
that.
like that. So yeah, so I think it's good to kind of also, even though it's like a one-way direction, the newsletter, you're like sending it out, it's going
Yeah.
into the mail folder. So yeah, but then get in touch with your audience and get feedback from them, and then just keep on developing the newsletter.
I love that. I have to ask you also because you mentioned storytelling and
Mhm.
knowing what your focus is. I think to make an impact, or this is what
Mhm.
makes an impact on me anyway, is witnessing really good storytelling. What's your best piece of advice or tip to someone who wants to improve on their storytelling, whether that's through writing or video, however, whatever medium they're using? What would be your best piece of advice there?
Um, I think it's two aspects that for me are working quite well. And that's, first of all, a really good structure so that you don't lose people along the way. And that's also something you learn in, journalism a lot. Like your texts are getting picked apart for each and every sentence and word, and especially the structure. So I think that's key. And really good protagonists, of course. So I think all of that cold researched stuff is not really too inspiring usually. So, to make it a little bit more entertaining, you have to have some scenes that are really nice. You have to have protagonists that are really nice and that also have a story to share. And I think that a mix of a really good structure and these other two aspects are good for really effective storytelling, and also to kind of include like warm aspects and not just like cold facts, because that just, it's not touching people's emotions and not touching people's hearts and feelings. So
Yeah.
that you include nice warm facts emotions. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Tanita. And we didn't speak about the good norm yet.
I
As the
know.
founder of the good norm, we didn't bring it up yet. Tell us a bit
I
about
know.
that.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, as I'm still working on that rebrush and also figuring out like one aspect, yeah, maybe the crisp is a better topic.
Absolutely fine. We can just leave that at all. I mean, it's great. You're still the founder of a sustainable online magazine, so I thought we'd bring that in, but we can
Yeah,
totally just keep that
yeah,
separate rebrand. Don't worry. Tanita, one thing we love to ask all of our participants is, what does authenticity mean to you? Because in terms of sustainability, something you said that's lovely right at the beginning is you said everyone talks about it. Sustainability, that it almost has lost its meaning.
yeah,
In a world where what you're doing is so important for our future, but you're also got the difficulty of trying to change people's behavior, how do you remain authentic in an industry that is so complicated? In my opinion, it's complicated.
yeah. It really is also for me. So I think it's complicated for everyone, also in the field, because yeah, uh, so much. It's also sometimes hard, to be honest, to not be dragged down
Yeah.
with the complexity and also the issues, because you don't see that much progress, and then you're like, oh, what am I doing? Maybe I should just move, I don't know, to the beach and just open a cafe and be happy.
I'll
But
come
yeah,
with you. I'm there.
but yeah, for some reason I'm sticking to my plan. I'm sticking to it because yeah, I don't know. I really love working at all of these challenges, at least in the capacity that I have and the knowledge that I have. But yeah,
And how to
um,
maintain it.
so I think for me that just means living according to your values, and I think that also is quite present. Yeah, for me. And I think that's also the way that you can influence people the best, just to show them how it's done differently, or how it can be done differently, and not just tell them about it the whole time, and also kind of not to put too much negative pressure on them, because I think then people just shut down and then they're just, not listening anymore, don't want to change anyways. So yeah, I think just to live according to your values is a good start.
From our short conversation, I already believe what you said in terms of what you stick to your values and live according to your values. I actually trust that you do that. I feel like sometimes brands like shame me for using straws, but then like pollute all sorts of lakes. And then it's like, oh, okay, so I'm the problem. And sometimes you do get a lot of negativity towards consumers and things. So it's really cool that you mentioned straight from the beginning is that you need to be honest. No one is perfect, but yeah, I'm really, really glad we could do this. I've learned so much. Anti-greenwashing. I'm going to go tell all my friends about this new thing that I've learned and try to impress them. Um, where can people find you in case they want to learn more about the crisps or the work that you're doing as well?
Well, LinkedIn, of course, always good, always a good idea. On Instagram, I'm also there, but I'm sharing too much personal stuff on there, not so much professional. I'm really bad with like updating my professional work there.
It's
Just
hard.
sharing pictures of my dog and
That's
just walking him
important.
somewhere in the woods. Yeah,
That's important,
so
Tanita. We need to see that.
yeah, but like LinkedIn is always a good idea, and of course, yeah, Substack. We have our newsletter there. So if you want to follow or subscribe to the crisps, you can find it on Substack. And I have a website, but it's just like a little portfolio. So yeah.
Amazing. Tanita, thank you so much for giving up your time
Thank you.
to do this. I mean, it's so lovely to be able to get this niche conversation available for our listeners. So thank you. And I wish you the best with all of your different projects. And we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanita. Have a lovely
Bye.
day. Bye.